Hello and welcome back to Keeping Up in Disney.
Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about our recent cruise that we went on the Disney Magic for our first Disney cruise. And all of those videos are up on our channel now, from our Embarkation day to Debarkation. So if you want to check those out, I'll go ahead and put the playlist for those up above, so you can get caught up on the cruise videos after this as well. I'll also put the links in the description down below. But we just wanted to give a quick recap, talk about some of the things that were good to know for the cruise, some of our favorites, some of our experiences, and then of course we'll show some of the merch and goodies that we got on the cruise afterwards.
And if you're wondering where I got my ears from, they're from Myra Fabulux, and you can use my code Disney15 for 15% off. So Embarkation Day was actually pretty easy. We were a little bit nervous about the process and everything. We were supposed to board around 1:30 and we actually got there around 12, and they just let us on early, so we got right onto the boat, and it was such an exciting experience. And hearing them say our names, welcoming us onto the boat was very magical. Just getting to see the boat for the first time. We were on the Disney Magic, so that is one of the first ones. So we just took a look around. Our room wasn't ready yet, so I went out by the adult pool. I did get one of the drinks of the day, because every single day on the Disney cruise they do have a different drink special. So I got a Bahama Mama and a souvenir cup. Yeah, I enjoyed laying out before our room was ready and before we had to do our muster drill. And Arie took a little tour around the boat just to see what was there, in the spa, the fitness room, all of that kind of stuff.
A couple good things to know about Embarkation Day, which I do at some point plan on making a full, more concise video of just the top 5 or 10 things that I wish I would have known before the Disney cruise, and a lot more detail with each of those too. So I'm gonna put together a list and make that sometime soon. But I did want to give a little bit of information about Embarkation Day, and I will say Disney is actually pretty great about giving information on this. There's some other stuff on the list of things for first-time cruisers that you don't find much information about, so that's why I definitely want to share them. But Embarkation Day, they give you a lot of different information prior to boarding the cruise. So even when you're booking your cruise, there's a whole walkthrough, like a checklist that they provide of different packing stuff, things to make sure that you bring with you, giving a little bit of information about the actual Embarkation Day when you get there. Before your cruise, just make sure to look on the Disney Cruise website and the app once you put your reservation in, because there will be a bunch of know before you go stuff. So look there for what required documents you're gonna need. For us, we just needed a passport, so we actually both had to get passports earlier this year, but now we have them for 10 years, so that'll be nice for traveling. You can take a backpack or a carry-on bag on the cruise with you when you go on, and then your luggage that's more like packed luggage, they'll actually tag right when you get to the port, and then it shows up at your room later, so you don't have to carry that around with you. So there are some restrictions for things that you can have in those checked bags, so again, just make sure to check their details on the website. And then if you are bringing a carry-on bag too, you can actually bring on a little bit of wine or beer for your trip. So if you want to save a little bit on some drinks, maybe bring on a bottle of wine or two, you can do that. Just make sure again to look at what the guidelines are for how much you're allowed to bring on. And like Jamie said, our boarding time was 1:30, but we first of all didn't want to be late, and second of all thought maybe if we get there early they will let us on, and they were being pretty lax about the group. So we were glad that we got there about an hour and a half early, because by the time we got through the line and showed our passports and got checked in, we were probably on the boat by 12:30 or so, which was even an hour before we were supposed to board. So It's obviously not a guarantee that they're ever gonna let people on early, but
we got lucky.
yeah, and I mean, it doesn't hurt to try, especially if you don't have a lot going on that day or you're close by. We stayed in Port Canaveral the night before, so it was super close to just get there in the morning, and we weren't really doing much else after we checked out of the hotel anyway. We were glad we went when we did.
After a couple drinks, laying out in the sun, Arie going on an adventure, we had to go to our muster drill. It is mandatory. You cannot miss the muster drill.
Yeah, they do check-ins for everyone coming into the muster drill, and if you're not there, they will start calling your name and trying to find you. So definitely make sure you get to your muster drill on time so you're also not holding up other people there that are waiting to get through with it. I had heard a lot about muster drills on cruises, but never having gone on a cruise myself, let alone a Disney cruise, I had no idea what to expect for a muster drill besides that it was kind of a safety presentation. For Disney ones, they give you your assembly station with your room, and then that kind of shows where you go for your muster drill. So we were actually in Animator's Palette, that's where our muster station was. They blared some loud horns. They did maybe 10 minutes tops of safety demonstrations to watch just of where to go when something potentially does go wrong with the cruise, where your life jackets are located in your room, procedures for once you meet up at your muster station, just some instructions too about like don't take the time grabbing your things before heading to the muster station. Like this is a real safety issue and you can't take the time to grab all your bags and stuff. Just, you know, usually the basics. Like if you've been on a plane before, it's very similar to the in-flight safety presentation they do prior to the plane, but a little more in-depth for the cruise. And yeah, everyone is required to go to be on the cruise, so make sure you're there on time.
And we were able to check into our room right before the muster drill, so we were able to see our room and we loved it, and just get a little bit of things unpacked. Went to the muster drill from there, and then once it was over, then we had the sail away party. So we were super excited for that. We didn't really get a great spot for it. It was completely packed and it was super cute and fun. Hearing the horns go off when you wish upon a star, I thought that was really cute, and just the dances and all the characters that come out to perform during the sail away party.
And one other thing I was gonna mention too that is good to know, especially if it's your first Disney cruise, is the muster drill is right before the sail away party. So typically what happens is people, as soon as the muster drill is done, rush up to get a pretty good spot for the sail away party. So if you really want a good spot to see the action going on there, after your muster drill, pretty much just head straight up to the main deck, like the pool deck, to get ready for it. I have heard that if it's raining or something, they'll sometimes move it inside, so I don't really know how that would go. It'd probably be a lot more crowded and hard to figure out where it was gonna be, but if yours is going as scheduled on the main pool deck, definitely go up to that deck after your muster drill or head over there, because you can get a really great spot then. We actually went back to our room quick between our muster drill and going to the sail away party, so by the time we got there it was already pretty packed, but we still found a pretty nice spot on the deck above the pool deck where we could see down, and I got my first ice cream cone, which it's another thing. We'll have to talk about all the food and kind of break that down too, but the sail away party is great, like Jamie said, so make sure you, number one, don't miss it, and number two, if you want a good spot, head there right after your muster drill.
Another thing we wanted to tell you guys is, if you have never been on a Disney cruise before, you have to put a card on file, so you can't pay with cash or anything like that, or Disney gift cards like you normally would be able to do in the parks. So you have to, when you're boarding the ship or any time throughout your cruise, you can add Disney gift cards to your account so you're able to use them. Or if you have like a Disney Visa card, you can add your points to that as well. So it's all just on one card payment. That's a good thing to know if you have never been on a Disney cruise before.
Yeah, this was something we didn't know actually until pretty close to our cruise, and they do have information about it on the website, but it's not very in your face and not something you would really think about if you weren't kind of digging for that information. And once you get on the cruise and you've done your first cruise, I'm sure it's pretty natural and just makes sense, but we were a little confused by the process at first, so I kind of wanted to break it down too. This is another thing that's definitely going to be in that more detailed video I talk about, but like Jamie was saying, you have an onboard account for everything, so you can't take a Disney gift card you got, go up to a bar and just pay for it directly. That drink has to get charged to your onboard account, so that flows back down, and you can apply payments to it to charge to your onboard account for when you build up that balance, but you can't just like directly pay at a bar or a gift shop with cash or a card, because yeah, it all just gets charged. Everything that you put on them gets charged to your Key to the World card, or in our case, we had the Magic Band Pluses linked up, so we would just tap our Magic Bands every time. But this was really good to know, because we did hear too, after doing some digging right before we were going, we had a couple Disney gift cards that we had gotten. I have the Chase Disney Visa that gets the rewards, and we had some cash too, so we wanted to be able to pay with it on the cruise. So the day that we got on, before the line at guest services was super long or anything was too crazy, we found a good time to go there, and we actually put together our cash and our Disney gift cards and the rewards card, and we're able to load up a balance onto our onboard account. So everything we purchased from that point on just came out of there, and then it builds up over time. You can actually check in the Navigator app, which is another thing I'm going to talk about too. You can check your balance at any time in the Navigator app, and it'll show you what's still owed, what's going to be charged. They periodically would charge it throughout the cruise too, so like there would be some days I would look when it would be, you know, at a certain balance the night before, and then they would charge it overnight. Maybe it wasn't like consistent on a daily thing, and it wasn't just at the end of the cruise, so that's definitely something to be aware of if you do have a card on file. And if you do want to add balance, like Jamie said, you don't only have to do it on the first day. There were a couple times where we had some more cash, so like later we stopped by guest services and we just put some more cash on our account to help kind of go towards that balance. Or for example, like when I was gonna buy a Spirit jersey, I had the cash, so I went and put that on the onboard account right at guest services before getting the Spirit jersey, so it was kind of like applying the cash to it. Another thing that I will also do a deep dive into later is the Cruise Line Navigator app, and this is something where, again, there's quite a bit of information out there on it, but it's not something you actually get to use until you're on the cruise fully. So before you go, you can download the Navigator app. Definitely download the Navigator app. You can put your reservation information in, and it'll pull up your cruise details, and it does show a fun little countdown of how many days until your cruise, and that's where you can find a lot of the know before you go information and other cool things, just kind of information about the restaurants, the bars, different places on the ship to check out. The real magic of the Navigator app actually happens once you're on board and you connect to the Wi-Fi. It's like some magic where when you're on specifically the DCL Wi-Fi, it updates everything on your app, and I think once you're checked in. So as soon as you're on board, you get access to seeing what your dining reservation for the night is going to be, what your show is going to be. There's a whole list of activities to scroll through.
And you can also message other people on the cruise. So we didn't realize that until a few days in the cruise, that I could message Arie, because sometimes during our time on the cruise, if we were in certain parts of the ship, it did not have service. So if I went to the bathroom or went somewhere to go get a drink or something, I was trying to meet back up with him and my texts weren't going through to him, I would use the app. Sometimes that would work, but it also had really cool Disney emojis on there too.
The Navigator app is actually pretty nice, but you don't get a lot of the features or access to the activities and being able to kind of play around with it until you're on the cruise. So like our first day, I was just doing a lot of looking through it and figuring out how to favorite the different activities, filter things, look when the character meet and greets were gonna be. So I definitely do want to do a deeper discussion into the Cruise Line Navigator app specifically too, because it's really good to know about. You can make a good use of your time on the cruise if you know how to kind of use that app and look through the activities and such.
to the fun part of it, the Disney dining. So it is a rotational dining. You are not in the same restaurant every single night, and you also get the same servers and stuff every single night at all of the different restaurants that you get to go to. So that was pretty nice because our servers always remembered what drinks we would get. The first night I asked for a Shirley Temple as a drink, and they brought it to me every single night, which I thought was pretty cool. They also, which I thought was really nice, was they also seat you. They sat me down, they pushed my chair and put a napkin on my lap, and they would brush off like the breadcrumbs off of the table. And I thought that was really funny and nice that they did that. And our servers were amazing. The meals were all very delicious. So we were seated with 2 other couples.
I know I was just talking about the Navigator app too, but once you get onto the cruise and your plans do update, it'll start to tell you what dining and shows you have for the first night of the cruise and any nights after. So you actually don't know what your first rotational dining is going to be or what restaurants you're going to go to over each night until you're on the cruise. So it was a surprise for us, and we happened to get Lumiere's for our first night, and then since ours was a 5-night sailing, we did 2 nights at Lumiere's, 2 nights at Animator's Palette, and only 1 night at Rapunzel's. But you don't know kind of what mix you're gonna get when you get on, or what'll be first or what'll be last. But we liked our rotation. Like Jamie was talking about a little bit, with the wait staff that goes around to the different restaurants with you. Disney has on all their cruise ships, they call it their rotational dining, and it is signature to the Disney Cruise Lines. So you rotate between the restaurants on the different nights. There are typically, I think, like 3 of the sit-down restaurants on each of the Disney cruises, and at least that's how it was on the Magic for us, and for a lot of the others that I've watched videos on or seen. You'll move between the restaurants, but your wait staff moves with you, so you really get to know them too. If you have any dietary preferences or allergies, they'll get to know those too. Like Jamie was saying, after she ordered a Shirley Temple, they would always bring them back. The service was just so incredible. They would put the napkin on your lap, and I promise we did not like ask them to wipe off the breadcrumbs or anything. They just started doing it and did it every night thereafter. So I don't know if that's like a normal thing, but we talked about it in a couple of the cruise line videos. The bread rolls at dinner were so crunchy and crispy. So that was why there were breadcrumbs all over the table. We weren't like trying to be super messy either, but they were the most crackly rolls I've ever had. I'm sure if you were going with a larger party, you probably wouldn't get seated with other people, but of course they have to make good space of the dining room. So we did get seated with 2 other couples, and it was actually kind of fun to get to know some other people too.
It's fun to make new friends on cruises.
And so going into the cruise, that was another thing we did not know as first-time Disney cruisers, that we would probably be seated with other people for dinner, but it ended up being a really good time, and we were glad that we had people to talk to and get to know during dinner. Also, another thing about the dinners too is that, so I mentioned we had 2 nights at Lumiere's, 2 nights at Animator's Palette, but the menus were not the same between those nights too, so those did change and rotate as well. So we had a different dinner selection every single night of the cruise. The Lumiere's menus, the first and last night of our cruise when we went, they just changed up completely. And then for Animator's Palette, our first night was one of the normal Animator's Palette menus, and then the next night we were there was actually pirate night, which is another thing we're going to talk about. So the whole menu is pirate themed, which was cool. But the rotational dining does just give you a good assortment of the different restaurants to try throughout the cruise, and also gives you some of the best service with the wait staff moving with you. So it was a pretty cool concept, and we really liked it.
I also didn't know you could order multiple entrees too. So the last 2 nights I ended up ordering more than 1 plate, and the same thing with the appetizers, you could do that too. The last night on our cruise, I went all out and tried everything that I really wanted to. So I got to try a lot of different foods. So if I had known that earlier, probably would have done it.
And that is another good tip to know just for dining in general, which we'll go into food right after this too, like the way food and everything else and other dining works on Disney Cruise Line too. But with the dinners, you can order any number of appetizers. Like if there's two that really strike your fancy, you can get both of them. Or if there's two entrees you really like, or two desserts, or even three of whatever, you can order them because the food is pretty much unlimited between a lot of the sit-down dining restaurants, room service, and the quick service locations. So if there are a couple things you want, don't hesitate to order them because it is fun to try multiple options. There were a couple nights we did get a couple appetizers each too, or desserts, just because it's really hard to make those decisions sometimes. And so I guess with Disney Cruise, sometimes you don't have to decide actually, which is awesome.
And they have fun drinks there too. Alcoholic drinks and non-alcoholic drinks. So I did get to try out a few of them and they were good.
And just to talk about the dining in general and food options are on the cruise too. When you book a Disney cruise, all of your food is included unless you do some different upcharges for things. Like there is a nicer sit-down restaurant on the Magic that was called Palo, and that is an upcharge. But rotational dining, the quick service restaurants, those were all included. There are also some other upgrade packages you can do, like a wine package for dinner, which Disney Cruise Line does not have an actual drink package, but they do offer this wine package with dinner. So that's another thing I'm going to talk a little bit more about in my other more detailed video about first-time cruise tips later on. For dining, like we mentioned, they had the 3 rotational restaurants, and then up by the actual pool deck, they had Pinocchio's Pizza, the Duck-In Diner, which was like your hamburgers, hot dogs, and they had Daisy's Delights, which was like sandwiches, salads, kind of more healthy foods. They also had some other pretty interesting options too, though.
The ice cream machines.
Yeah, they had the ice cream
the
machines.
Soda machines.
Kona Cafe has the specialty coffees, and then I think the place where they had like Dole Whip and other frozen treats, which some of these you did have to pay for, like you did have to pay for the Dole Whip, and they had other like popcorn buckets and things and drink cups at this place too, but I think it was called Frozone Sweets or Treats, which was right next to the ice cream dispenser, but the ice cream dispenser is free. So definitely eat, not free, included in your cruise price, but definitely eat a lot of ice cream to make back some of that cruise price.
And they do change the flavors every single day. So one day they did have banana, and that was my absolute favorite, and I wish that I had gotten more of it. A trick that I had seen on TikTok after we got off the cruise was that people were taking like the drink cups and going up to the ice cream machines and just filling it up instead of using a cone. So
yeah, so I wish I would have known that, because sometimes the cones were also kind of hard to use and they melted super quickly. So going back to what Jamie said before with them having the soda machines, when you book a Disney cruise too, all of the soda, tea, juice, milk, whatever, that type of stuff is included, and like the basic coffee. Kona Cafe, which Jamie mentioned earlier for the specialty coffees, is actually an upcharge, so you have to pay for those specialty coffees, but the other stuff comes from the soda machines. So one tip that I actually did hear before the cruise was to bring like a refillable water bottle or something bigger than just the little, like they give you like 12-ounce paper cups that are Disney branded to fill your soda up with and then just throw away. So if you have like a bigger reusable water bottle and you want to fill it up with the soda dispenser, you can, and then you don't have to go back and forth as often. It might keep it a little cooler, which is kind of nice, but it was really cool having those unlimited drinks, and I wish I would have known that tip about the ice cream in the cups or thought about it. I like eating ice cream more out of a cup than a cone most of the time anyway, and it would have been really nice to have a bigger serving that was a little more easy to eat. And I also wish I would have known about the rotating flavors beforehand, because I don't think we noticed it until the second day, but they had like blueberry, mango, the banana like Jamie mentioned, and I think strawberry for the different days. But my only gripe with that was they would have one soft serve machine that they would keep vanilla and chocolate, and then you could swirl them, and the other machine was the one where they would rotate the flavor, but they only rotated the vanilla side, so it was always a pairing of like whatever the special flavor was in chocolate, like blueberry chocolate, mango chocolate, banana chocolate, which that one sounds really good, but it would have been nice to have the option for some of them to swirl with the vanilla. Like I think blueberry vanilla or mango vanilla would have been better.
Or banana vanilla.
Yeah, that would have been good too. So I don't know. That was my only gripe with it, but it was really cool knowing they had the rotating flavors, and just with everything included for food on the cruise and those soft drinks, it was awesome, which also leads into room service being included.
My favorite part. I will talk about this because I was the one making all the room service every single night almost. You could pretty much order anything that they had on the menu. I did not know that they had different cakes every single night. I absolutely love the Disney chicken tenders and their fries. They are my absolute favorite, so I loaded up on those every single night. That was really nice being able to have that. You could get Mickey ice cream bars, other stuff like that, so when you're back at the room at night, you can just order that and they'll bring it right to your room, and then you do have to tip them. But like Arie said, they do have Pinocchio's Pizza, and that is open pretty late at night, so we'd also bring that back too, and then also order room service and just lay in bed. They bring a big tray with a lid over the food to keep it nice and warm. It was just a nice way to like end the night. We never really got it like during the day, but mostly just at night. Like before we went to bed, we watched movies and ate some room service.
I mean, you don't have to tip them, but you absolutely should.
Yeah.
And you can either give cash for that, or they did have, when they brought your food, you could sign something to add the tip to your onboard account, so you don't have to have cash to give them either. You can add it to your account. And it was so nice just being able to order room service, and I mean, why not take advantage of it a little bit while you can on the cruise? It feels very luxurious to just order room service. Something that Jamie mentioned that I was really happy we did know before is that there are a couple like secret menu items that aren't listed on the menu, which are two of the things we knew for sure beforehand were Uncrustables and Mickey bars. And I ate quite a few Uncrustables and quite a few Mickey bars.
And I ate a lot of chicken tenders and fries.
At some points in the day, room service is the only option you can actually get for food. So like Jamie was mentioning, Pinocchio's was open pretty late, but it closed at midnight too. So that was the latest you could get anything from up around the pool deck area. The other dining option that we haven't talked about yet either was Cabanas, which is the buffet. And Cabanas was open for breakfast and lunch, but not dinner. So it didn't really reopen at night. The options for dinner were some of the quick services around the pool area, or, you know, the expectation is that you'll be going to your rotational dining. So they didn't have the buffet open at dinner, which was kind of a surprise to me. I figured if you didn't want to do your sit down, you could probably do something quicker like the buffet, but no, they didn't have it. Another thing too that we actually didn't know beforehand, but the people that we were sitting at with dinner told us were some days, if you look on the activities or in the Navigator app, there were lunches at some of the sit-down restaurants that you could actually go to. Like they had told us that they did lunch at Rapunzel's Royal Table, and that was included too. So definitely be on the lookout for that, because there could be some special ones for if you want to do a little bit more of a sit-down or nicer experience for lunch, you could switch it up. But a lot of the quick service around the pool had kind of weird hours too, like they would be closed at certain times then reopen later, but Pinocchio's was like the most reliable. It was almost always open and stayed open the latest. After Pinocchio's closed, there was no option for food besides room service, so that was why we usually ordered it late too.
Yes, and one thing I do wish that they had on this cruise was like a Mexican food, like quick service, because I was really craving like some chips and queso or chips and guacamole. Our cruise ship did not have it, so I was a little bit sad about that, but it was okay.
Yeah, I know some of the newer ships do have that, like I think it's like Donald's Cantina, which is Mexican.
Yeah.
It looks so good. The other thing we wanted to talk a little bit about too was the shows on board. So much like the rotational dining and dinners, when you first get on your schedule for the trip, your shows for the nights will pop up. So like for us, we had Twice Charmed the first night, we had Tangled the musical the second night, and then we had a couple nights without a show between our last night, which was Disney Dream. But when you get on, it'll tell you which days you're gonna have which shows and your time for the shows. Usually it goes along with whatever you pick for your dining time. So for dining, you can pick either the earlier slot or the late slot. I think the earlier slot was 5:45 for us, or the late slot is like 8 o'clock. If you go to your dinner at 5:45, you'll have the show later after dinner, and if you do the later dinner, it'll be vice versa, where you do the show before dinner. You obviously don't have to go to the show too, but we would definitely recommend them because they were all amazing. Twice Charmed was like a retelling of the Cinderella story with a different ending and a twist. Tangled the musical was exactly what it sounds like, the musical story of Tangled, but did have some new songs and interesting parts in it. And then Dreams was just a great like Disney mashup with a really interesting story, a lot of different characters and good songs.
That one made me cry.
Yeah.
And there also was a magic show one night too. So.
Yeah. And then the other night when there wasn't an actual scheduled show, I think they played a new movie in the theater, like I think it was Elio at the time, the Pixar movie that they played in the theater. But definitely go to the shows, check them out. There's a bar outside that serves drinks and popcorn. They'll actually bring drinks into the theater for you while you're sitting there.
And serve them to you.
Yeah, which is pretty fun. And yeah, we got popcorn one or two of the nights because it was really good.
And drinks, and one was really, really strong.
Yeah,
so.
Another good tip to know too is they do sell popcorn buckets on the cruise that you can then get cheaper refills in. But if you do have a Parks popcorn bucket or a Disney popcorn bucket already, definitely bring it, because then you can get like the cheaper $2 refills on the buckets, which also they have a movie theater on board too, so
which was right by our room.
Yeah, so every time we were going to our room we smelled fresh popcorn. But if you do want to watch any movies during the cruise, they pretty much always have something playing, and a lot of the times they're like the newer movies, some of the ones that are still in theaters at the time, or even when new releases come out, they'll play them on the cruise. So that was for us, it was the Buena Vista Theater, and then the shows were in the Walt Disney Theater. So it's pretty cool to know that you get some real life performances and you can go watch a movie anytime you want on the cruise.
We were deck 5 and our room was towards the back of the ship. So I will say, they do tell you every night, like the captain goes over the speaker just letting you know that you're gonna hear like some sounds and stuff. So we didn't really feel too much of the boat like moving or anything, but at times we did. And every single morning we heard the rumbling. I thought the boat was sinking, and they were just parallel parking to the islands that we were going to whatever day. So it's a little bit scary of a sound, but I think we heard it more because we were towards the back of the ship and a lower level. If you were a higher level, maybe in the middle of the ship or in the front, you probably wouldn't hear it as much.
Yeah, also just a quick recap review of our room. I'm gonna post just like our room tour individually, and we can probably do a deeper dive into some of our thoughts about it then, but we really liked our room. We had it was the veranda staterooms.
Which is the best way to go.
Yeah, and like Jamie said, we were on deck 5 at the aft of the ship, which is the back of the ship, in case you didn't know. Like I didn't before getting on a cruise. You have the forward and the aft, that's the front and the back. But we really liked our room, and it was spacious, especially just for the two of us. It had a lot of good storage. It's kind of cool how the shower and the toilet are in split areas, so you can do both or one or the other and just have that flexibility. There is also a pull-down bed that you can put out too on the side by the couch and the actual veranda, and then a curtain you can close, so you can almost get like 2 full beds within that room. And our veranda was awesome. It was really nice to be able to go out on, and yeah, just overall, we really, really liked our room.
Yeah, waking up to the veranda at whatever island or just out at sea every morning and going to bed with it at night was amazing.
And we did also do an excursion on the cruise, so this is another good thing to know about. They do give you some information, again, in the Know Before You Go stuff on the app and the Disney Cruise Line website, but you can look up all the excursions beforehand, you can book them, see what strikes your fancy on the different islands or the ports that you're going to be stopping at. We didn't book our excursion beforehand though, in the window where you could do it prior to the cruise, so if you didn't do that, you can totally still book them, well, most of them, if they don't fill up by the time of the cruise. And on the cruise, actually, for us, it was right by guest services, right off the atrium, but there is a excursions desk where they'll have all the excursions listed out. You can talk to someone, so you can totally head over to that excursions desk to book something too once you're actually on the cruise. You also don't have to do excursions at any of the islands or ports, but you can if you want. Like Castaway has some fun ones too, like the snorkeling or bike riding, so definitely make sure to browse those beforehand and book something if it sounds nice to you. Otherwise, you can just enjoy the islands or the ports or the boat even. You know, if you really don't want to get off, you can just enjoy the ship more. So all good options.
So Pirate Night was quite an experience. We came back to our room. We were in the Bahamas that day and we found that they had given us some pirate bandanas, and Arie ended up wearing one of those. It did not match my outfit, so I didn't wear mine. We did go to Animator's Palette for Pirate Night, so they had a whole different menu. It was mostly seafood and a few other things, but it was actually a really good meal. And then we had the Pirate Night show, and that one was really cool. Mickey flew across the boat and battled with Captain Hook, and it was a really cute show. And they had fireworks.
And we didn't really know too much about Pirate Night before we went, but you can see, like, on, again, the Navigator app beforehand too, like, if your cruise is gonna have Pirate Night or what it's gonna have. I think some of the other cruises too have like a Marvel Day at sea or a Pixar Day, so it does change by cruise, but I know Pirate Night is one of the pretty popular ones that they do on a lot of the cruises, so kind of what that entails too is a lot of characters in pirate outfits even throughout the day, and people all across the ship, all throughout the ship, all day. They were playing pirate music over the speakers and in the rooms on the TVs, so you were getting the pirate vibe everywhere you went. They did also give us the bandanas, people were dressing up. Dinner at Animator's Palette was themed to Pirate Night. And yeah, again, like different pirate meet and greets too. And then the pirate deck party that Jamie was talking about was amazing. If you want to dress up for Pirate Night and go all out,
do it.
Yeah, you totally can, and it was a really good time. I wish we would have dressed up a little bit more. I just had the bandana and a shirt that kind of matched, but Pirate Night was great, and it would be fun to see some other themed nights on the Disney cruises.
Yes.
But so we just wanted to talk about that one a little bit because it was kind of a fun surprise experience for us, and we were glad we got to do Pirate Night.
Another fun thing that the cruise has to offer is all the entertainment on it too. Not just the shows, but like trivia, karaoke. We did a lot of trivia shows, and you could win like special pins or whatever. And we absolutely loved the karaoke, and they were all in really cool bars with really nice drinks. Yeah, that's where we met one of our favorite entertainers on the ship, Ben.
They also had like, you could make crafts, you could do, like Jamie said, trivia, different other fun activities throughout the day. Just the most random things that you could, you know, find to keep you busy during the cruise. So again, the Navigator app, you don't see all this stuff until you get on the cruise, but make sure to go through, look at all the activities for the days. You can favorite them and save them, which again, I'll do like a deeper dive into, but there is so much to do.
And also getting to meet a lot of the characters on the cruise in their cruise outfits, which was adorable. They also had, on Pirate Night, they also had characters in their pirate costumes as well.
Yeah, meeting all the characters was fun, and they do show those times in the app too, so you can check them out. But even with knowing the times and trying to plan, we didn't get to meet Chip and Dale, and we tried a couple times, which was a little bit of a disappointment for me, but we met a lot of other cool characters.
Yes.
And another good thing, to know before you go that we actually found out just a little bit before our cruise, but if you have a specific sailing date that you have booked already, go look on Facebook if you have a Facebook too and search for like, for ours it was like Disney Magic Cruise July 11th through 16th. So search for like the cruise line, the name of the ship you're going to be on, and the dates, and you might find a specific Facebook group of other people who are going to go on. So it was kind of fun for people who wanted to connect beforehand too. There were different like pixie dust and giveaway groups that people were setting up, getting to know other people, being able to ask questions before the trip from seasoned Disney cruisers. And there were these other things too that you could put out on your doors or right outside of your doors called fish extenders, and you could sign up for like the fish extender exchange with other people. And I had no idea why they were called fish extenders until we saw outside our door the place where people hung them had like a little fish on it next to it. So it's all good stuff to know. So if you're interested in that, join one of the Facebook groups and you can get involved with the pixie dusting, fish extenders, and just other connection opportunities there. And then one of the last things I think we wanted to talk about before we show some of our merch was our Debarkation Day, which again, there's some information about this out there, but I couldn't find as much online, and even when trying to look stuff up, I didn't get as many details as we did the actual night before we were planning to get off the ship, because there was a loop on the TV that played of the cruise director talking, going through like all the FAQs and all this great information to know, like all the exact stuff I had been looking for, explaining things like how the luggage tags work with putting your luggage out, which again, this is another thing I want to do a deeper dive into, so that's going to be one of like the other good things to know for first time Disney cruisers. But yeah, just explaining how the luggage tags worked, explaining how if you didn't want to use the luggage tags, you didn't have to, the time you had to be out of your room by, how it worked out with breakfast, and just some other really good details. And one thing that I didn't know, and we also didn't know the morning getting off our cruise, was that if you don't go to your scheduled dining time, which we didn't, the buffet is also open for breakfast. You can go to Cabanas.
Yeah, I wish that we had known that, because we definitely would have gone there.
Yeah, and we could have spent a little more time on the ship. Would have just had to bring around our suitcases, but could have taken our time getting off a little bit more, because we were heading over to Vero Beach and we got there so early, but we really didn't have a rush at all. So we could have like had breakfast and chilled out a little bit, but
yeah.
So that's another good thing to know in case you're curious for your cruise, because our dining time was at like 6:45 a.m. and we still had to do some packing, so
yeah.
it wasn't
too
happening.
Early for us too.
Yeah, but otherwise Debarkation Day was very smooth. You get off, you show them your passports at the terminal to check back in, and then you're pretty much off. So nice and smooth.
And very sad. And now to the fun part, our merch that we got on the trip.
Actually, before we start, I'm actually wearing one of my merch items.
He is wearing
this
the
is
Disney
my
Cruise Line.
Yeah, this is my Disney Magic Cruise Line spirit jersey, and I like how it's got the little details on it, and then on the back too, it's got Disney Magic and Goofy, how he is on the aft of the ship. And I just really like this spirit jersey. I haven't gotten a spirit jersey in a while, and I actually do wear them a lot, so this is a very practical, nice purchase that's actually a really cool souvenir from our trip.
And I got this towel elephant because it just reminds me of like the cruise and how they always do the little like blanket animals and stuff like that. And then I also brought back my Disney souvenir drink cup, and I actually drink out of this every single day. It's a really nice glass, and I wish that I had gotten another one of these because they're very nice.
Side note, it's not actually glass, it's plastic, but it is a very nice cup. It's like a durable plastic.
Yes.
And then as Jamie mentioned before, when it was pirate night, they left these on our bed while we were out for the day. So when we came back, we saw them, and I actually wore this with my red and black shirt for pirate night, but it's nice to give you something to at least wear so you can get in the spirit even if you didn't plan an outfit or anything.
I did find this pixie dust in like the corner by the stairs. It has a Briar Rose sticker and a Tangled sticker and Minnie and just a few other things in there, so I thought that was really special to find.
Yeah, and people will do that on the cruise, the pixie dusting, and leave little gift bags all around, so it's just kind of a fun thing to do.
And another thing that we got was this Lookout Key ornament. So we're starting to collect some ornaments for our Christmas tree in our new home. And then we also got these 2 pins, new Married Minnie and Mickey pin, and also a Disney Magic cruise ship pin.
And then I also did get 2 other pins. This one was from Castaway, and this one was from Lookout. So I wanted to get a pin for each of the islands we went to, the Disney islands, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then we also got this magnet for our fridge. So it's got the Fab Five and one of the Disney cruise lines in the back. I don't think it's any specific boat, but that is really cool too. I also got this Castaway Key Spirit jersey, and I really like this one too. I've worn this one quite a few times. It's got the Disney Cruise Line logo on the front. I really like the color, and it's just cool being from Castaway Key, which probably was my preferred island between the 2 Disney private islands, but they did have Spirit jerseys for Lookout too, and I was so tempted to get one.
And we also got this huge gift basket from the Disney Cruise Line on our last night there because of our problems with our room, as we have talked about in our vlogs. So it was a nice thing to come into the room to.
It's got like some popcorn and cups, Rice Krispie treats, other cool stuff.
Yeah, we still haven't gone through all of it yet.
Yeah, but it was nice.
So some other treasures I did get from the cruise. I found these at the beaches. This one was from Lookout Key. It's pink because it was all like pink sand and stuff. And yeah, I just found a couple other ones at other beaches and stuff. So yeah, this is our little tray in our Disney H2O bathroom, which you guys will be seeing very soon. Here's a little sneak peek. Do you recognize this curtain? If you know, then leave a comment below.
We hope you enjoyed getting to hear a little bit more about our Disney cruise, some of the specific things that we liked that were good to know beforehand or that we think you should know, just a little bit of a review too of some of the dining and food and activities on the ship. Like I said, we plan to do a couple more videos doing like a deep dive room tour, going into those top tips to know, some other things about the cruise probably, maybe like even like a top restaurants or favorite restaurant review or something. So let us know in the comments too if you have any other questions that we didn't answer, if there's anything that you want to see a specific video or a breakdown on, or anything that we should include in any of those upcoming videos. And if you didn't see our cruise videos yet too, like I said, I'm putting the playlist in the description. So if you want to check those out too for the full vlog experience of the cruises, we would really appreciate it. And if you did enjoy this video too, make sure to give it a like, consider subscribing to our channel, and ringing that bell so you can get notified of those new videos when they do come out.
And as always, thanks for keeping up in Disney. And we'll see you real soon. Bye.